Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Tina, also known as Bloomingknitter, and this is Knitting Blooms. It's probably going to be another short episode today, I would say under 30 minutes, because I do have a few things to chit-chat with you about, but only a couple things, and I don't have that much knitting to show you. First of all, I want to start off by mentioning that I am going to have a VKN on March 27th at 7 p.m., between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's in 2 weeks. So when you by the time you see this, you'll have 2 more weeks to put it on your schedule and to join in. And it will be the only VKN that I will be having between now and Knitopia, which begins on April 16th. And speaking of Knitopia, I do want to mention that we had a couple of last-minute cancellations due to personal conflicts, and we have a couple of spots open for the first weekend. So if you have the ability to make last-minute travel plans and would like to join us for Knitopia 2015, we have a couple of spots. I think we currently have 3 open spots for the first weekend, which is April 16th through 19th. So if you would like to join us at Knitopia 2015, just get in contact with me on Ravelry and I will get all the info over to you. And speaking of Ravelry, again, I am in full-blown camp mode. I'm working on finalizing all of the prizes and goodie bags and all of that, and that takes a lot of my time. And I am also in the process of trying to figure out what projects I'm going to take with me. Now, every year I say I am going to take less projects because there's always stuff that we end up doing at camp. We have make and takes and demonstrations going on almost every single day at camp, and there's always ad hoc stuff going on where somebody's working on a project and everyone's like, oh, that's really cool, let me see that, I need to try that, and they're tracking down some yarn either from their goodie bag or from a prize that they won and casting something new on. And this happens every year. And this is I think this is our 7th year, 6th or 7th year. I can't remember off the top of my head. So, yeah, I know this happens, and every year I always take way more than I can ever get accomplished because I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be sitting and knitting for like 15 hours a day. Yeah, that's all, good and fine, but never am I sitting for 15 hours a day and knitting. First of all, there's meals, there's just general chit-chat, there's just stuff that needs to be done around the cabin. We try to all get, not all of us, but some of us try to get a little bit of exercise in each day. We go for walks and whatnot. And there's just other stuff like that. There's outings. The last couple years, I haven't done any of the outings like going to Mary Maxim or Joann's or anything like that because I just really enjoy being at the cabin and being with everybody that's there and then just chilling out and relaxing. So I haven't gone on any of the outings. For the most part, I have been at the cabin from the time that I get there till the time that I leave, which is fabulous for me. But others like to go shopping and get out and get in about for a little bit. But, so I think I'm going to have so much time to get knitting projects done. And then it turns out that I don't knit as much as I think that I'm going to. And usually if I take more than 4 projects, I usually don't work on anything more than 4 projects. The biggest problem is that Knitopia is, 11 days. I'm there 11 days, and that's a lot of time. And what happens if I get bored with one of the projects that I bring? Then what? That's my dilemma. So I have been trying to decide which projects I'm going to take. I know that no matter how many projects I take, I'm going to take more than what I actually will be able to work on. But it's the it's the way of camp, I think. I'm sure that I will take spinning as well. I'll probably take my my mini spinner, and there will definitely be projects that, you know, get cast on while I'm at Knitopia for whatever reason. I also am trying to get a few more charity items knit up before camp. As you know, I've been working on Preemie hats, so that part of the charity donation is covered already. I've got quite a few hats already to donate. And we are also donating to Halos of Hope, and I'm trying to get a couple of hats done for that. We are also knitting 9-inch squares so that we can just combine those squares and make a charity blanket for donation. I'm not sure to which charity yet, but to a charity. And then, of course, there's snuggles. And I have started knitting up some snuggles on the knitting machine, and I just have a whole big kind of strip of knitting right now. Because what I do is I've cast on with some waste yarn, I knit one skein, and then I do a little bit of waste yarn in between, and then I knit another skein, and then I do a little bit of waste yarn, and I knit another skein. So it's all one big strip that's hanging down from my knitting machine right now. And then when I'm ready to cast it off, I'll just take all the stitches off the needle. I'll probably put some extra waste yarn at the end, then pull all the stitches off. And when I'm ready to start crocheting around the outside, I'll just take the waste yarn out. It's that simple. But I'm trying to get a bunch of those knit up before camp because, you know, then it will give me something to do at camp and a little bit before camp too. I will be taking my knitting machine to camp because I know that a couple people are interested in checking it out and whipping up their own snuggles at camp. So yeah, there's a lot to do. I think I figured out we have about 4.5 more weeks to go. So not a whole lot of time, but still, I can still get a lot done in that time. What I'm really struggling with right now with trying to get done in the next couple of weeks is trying to get Sammy off of insulin. It's been a struggle. Last week I told you that we had taken another reduction. We did take another reduction on Sunday this past week, but we haven't had one since then. So we are now on our 10th cycle on this dose. And I was hoping that the reductions would come a little bit more quickly, but that hasn't been the case. I'm still very hopeful that we could possibly make it happen. But we really need him to be off insulin in the next 2.5 weeks because we have to have 2 weeks of no shots and having normal numbers in order to basically declare that we are in remission. So at this point, I'm just planning on taking him. I'm still hopeful that it's going to happen, that some miraculous thing is going to turn around and we will start getting those reductions more quickly. We only have 4 more to go. So if we can get reductions in under 4 days, which is basically 6 cycles, 6 or 7 cycles, then we could very possibly make it. But at 10 cycles plus per dose, it's not looking promising just yet. I'm trying to work out, you know, how this is going to work with camp, but we're just going to have to play it one day at a time. You know, that's kind of been the motto with Sammy. You know, it's one cycle at a time. We'll see what happens. If he earns a reduction, we give it to him. If he doesn't, we just stick with the dose and keep on going. So that's pretty much everything that I have. Oh, I did want to mention, I have been so lazy lately. I have not worked out. I think it was one day earlier this week or over the weekend. I can't remember which day. I did try to get on the treadmill and walk for a bit, and I think I walked for maybe 15 minutes. I mean, I am just been so lazy. It's just incredible. I mean, even just getting on the treadmill for 15 minutes was, I mean, I didn't overdo it by any stretch of the imagination, but I could definitely feel my muscles working in that short period of time, because honestly, I have done almost nothing. I take that back. I have done absolutely nothing since before Christmas. So I really would like to get back on the treadmill and get walking. I know that when I'm at Knittopia, I'm more likely to do some walking when I'm there, because I know that a group of people will always be going out for a walk, and it might be an encouragement to get out there and move. But I have been basically using the excuse of stress and the sugar situation and all the cat health issues as an excuse way too often these last few months, and I really do need to just bite the bullet and do it. And my goal is, after I finish recording today, is to pack up, the lights and everything, and then get on the treadmill for at least 30 minutes. Nothing crazy or anything like that. I'm not going to be running anytime soon. I want to be able to get on the treadmill and walk for a good 30 minutes before I start running. And at a good clip, not just a casual walk. So my goal for this week is just to get on the treadmill and move for 30 minutes, even if it's at a slower pace, and then start picking up the pace in the coming weeks before Knittopia. And then hopefully by Knittopia, be doing some sort of running at that point. So let me talk about my finished objects. I think that's all of my chitter chatter that I have for you today. Well, let me talk about, before I get to finished objects, let me talk about spinning, because that's going to be pretty quick. I have been doing a little bit of spinning on my drop spindle at work. The Golding spindle that has the wool gatherings. I do not have it here to show you because it's at work. I've been keeping it there because then I don't have to transfer it back and forth every day, and I don't have to worry about accidentally breaking my spindle by shoving it in my bag. So I just have been leaving that there and trying to work on it maybe 10 or 15 minutes every single day. I have been spinning on my mini spinner a little bit. Last weekend I did quite a bit. And when I say quite a bit, I probably spun for a good hour, both Saturday and Sunday. I haven't really spun since then, I don't think, but an hour is a good amount of time on that. And that, my mini spinner has some organic Polworth silk fiber on it that I received as a gift from somebody. So that's spinning. So let's talk about finished objects. And I have some finished objects. In fact, I have enough finished objects for my March Preemie hats. So last week when I recorded, I said I had one started. That was this one. And I think I was just about at the decreases, and I finished that up on Saturday at club, and I started another one, finished that one up, and I started another one on Sunday and finished that one up on Monday. And I also have 3 hats that are a little bit larger than Preemie, but they're small for a baby. 3 hats that I did on the knitting machine and just seamed up. Finally finished them off because they needed to be seamed. So I'm counting these as my 6 Preemie hats for March. And actually one of them is for February because I only did 3 for February and I really was supposed to do 4. So I have 6 for March. So technically I'm done knitting Preemie hats for March, and I'm current with my goal of 52 hats in 52 weeks, or 52 hats in 2015. So, but I probably will continue to knit Preemie hats after I do my squares for my sock yarn blanket, because I haven't started sock yarn blanket squares yet. So I will probably knit my, I think I only am required to knit four squares in March, because in February I knit 5 squares, I think, and I only needed 4. Yeah, I don't think I knit 6 squares in February. So I knit 5 squares in February. So I was 1 ahead on the squares, but 1 behind on the hats. Now for this month I am back on track with the hats, and I only am required to knit 4 squares on my sock yarn blanket. So that's probably what I'll be working on tonight and maybe this weekend, to get to just bang those out. My biggest problem is Sammy has been wanting to sit on my lap a lot lately, so I can't really work on my sock yarn blanket when Sammy sits on my lap, because my blanket takes up a good portion of my lap when I'm working on it. So I will have to see how that goes. My next finished object is a hat for Halos of Hope. It is just a basic hat. I just kind of whipped this up. I had some yarn, and this is Cascade 220 Superwash. I had this yarn, and I think it was somebody at club that mentioned to me that they're in need of hats for men, and I had this colorway, and I thought this would be perfect. I thought about doing some pattern or something, but I figure I can whip it up a lot quicker if it's just a generic hat. So that's what I did. I just cast on 80 stitches on a size 7 and knit the cuff for about 2.5 inches or so, then knit the regular part of the hat and then decreased. So that was about it. And I have enough yarn in the skein for another hat, so I cast on a second hat. I have to make this one slightly smaller because I only have, I think this hat was 51 grams and I only have 46 grams left. So I'll just make the rim, or the yeah, I guess the rim a little bit shorter, and this part of the hat a little bit shorter, and I should be good. Plus, I think this hat is a little bit pointy, so I think I decreased down to, I believe, 5 stitches. Yeah, I decreased down to 5 stitches on this hat, and I think I will either decrease down to only 9 stitches, or I won't do, when I get down to 9 stitches, I'll just do the knit 2 togethers again, instead of doing a knit row in between. And maybe I'll do that a little bit sooner. Like the last couple of decrease rounds, I'll just do them right back to back rather than having a knit round in between. Because this one is kind of a little bit pointy. I think that when you put it on your head, it's not going to be pointy, but anyway. So that's my plan, and I've already started that one. I started that today, and it should go pretty quickly. I actually knit most of this one at the dentist's office on Tuesday. I was just finished up the cuff, and I had done a couple rounds in the stockinette, and I pretty much got to the decreases at the dentist's office when I was having a crown started. I really hate the dentist, and I needed to have something to do in between getting numb and between impressions and all of that, because I had broken a tooth the week before, so I needed to get that crown taken care of. But yeah, so I have another one started. Again, I did the same thing. I just cast on 80 stitches, and I did increase to 81 on this one after the ribbing, because I cast on 80 stitches because I wanted to do a 2x2 rib, but because of how I wanted to do the decreases at the top, I needed 81 stitches total. So I just cast on an extra stitch, or I increased an extra stitch after the ribbing, so I had 81 stitches. So that's for Halos of Hope. This one will be for Halos of Hope, and I'm hoping to get at least one more hat done for Halos of Hope before I leave for camp. And then possibly take some yarn with me to work on a hat while I am at Knitopia. I have a couple of really cute little girl hats that I would really like to try and make. but it just seems like right now my brain needs just simple stuff, which is why I was doing this simple hat, because I didn't really have to think. I just had to knit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I am hoping to have at least 3 hats to donate to Halos of Hope by camp. And then all the Preemie hats will go to Mama's Boys. And what else? So those are my finished objects. Now, what's on my needles, I have, like I said, I already talked to you about the snuggles. I have a couple of snuggles on my knitting machine right now. I'm not going to take those off until I'm done and have the whole big long strip of them. So those are on there. I am still working on the log cabin blanket that's for a Christmas gift. I'm on block number 7. I had just started block number 7 last week on Thursday. Today I worked on it, and I think I have like 9 ridges done on that block. So I haven't got that much done on it. In fact, after I started it last week, I have not worked on it since then. But yeah, I have 9. I think I have 9 ridges complete right now, and I don't know how many ridges are in that block, but I'm coming right along. There are a total of 10 blocks. At this rate, as much as I'm knitting at work, because I'm not really knitting that much at work lately because I'm doing a lot of other Knitopia stuff at work, I won't have this blanket done before Knitopia. But if I don't have this one done, I probably will still go ahead and take the other one and at least get it started at Knitopia. We'll see. The other project that I have been working on, I did do a little bit of work on my Spinning Faith socks, which is it's the green, purple, and yellow. It's on my project page, but I didn't do much on that project because I kind of got sidetracked. I started another pair of socks, and I started these last Friday, maybe it was last Thursday after I recorded, and then I worked on them on Friday, and then I worked on them at club on Saturday. And of course, my yarn is all twisted. Anyway, these are the socks I cast on. This is the Regia Floramania, and I'm really nervous about this yarn because I have heard that there was an issue with the dye lots, and there have been some issues where the pink runs. Now, I don't know if I have one of the bad skeins or not. I am just kind of knit it and hope for the best. What I am planning on doing is not washing these socks right away. I will wear them once, which might be a bad idea because if I have one of those skeins that is has the running colors, my feet might be pink, but I'm going to take the chance. So I cast these socks on last Thursday night, and I have 2 socks up to the heels. I've just started the legs, and you will notice they are not matchy-matchy. Typically I like matchy-matchy socks, but I was nervous because these are such long color repeats. I was nervous because of where the ball broke to break the ball in half. I thought about pulling out the color and trying to start at the same point, but because the color repeat is so long, I thought, you know what, I'm not going to take the chance because I like my legs about 9 inches tall, and I was nervous that I wasn't going to have enough. So I just said, you know what, they're not going to be matchy-matchy. So they're basically opposite almost. Not quite opposite, but you'll notice that I've got green and yellow on the heel, on the toe, and then also on the heel. Just, it worked out the same way. And on this one, I have the orange on the toe, and it just so happened that it's pink on the heel. So I'm working these up, and I hope to have them completed in the next week. I did make quite a bit of progress on these, obviously, since last Thursday. I started them after I recorded, and I've gotten this far. Now, I haven't worked on them the last couple days because I've been working on the Halos of Hope hat. But I probably will get back to working on these and try and get at least one leg done this weekend. Possibly more than that. So yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, obviously these are like so my colors. I really like it. And what I am planning on doing, if by chance I do have one of those dye lots that the color runs, my plan is to wash them separately, to hand wash them, not throw them in with all my other socks, and to use a color catcher and be ready with vinegar or whatever I need to do to set the color if that's necessary. So I'm taking a chance. I mean, otherwise this skein of yarn is going to sit in my stash forever and nothing will happen with it. And I believe that's all I've got for you this week. I have not worked on my knit swirl at all. I was hoping that it would be done by camp so I could block it at camp. I seriously doubt that's going to happen. It will probably be one of the projects I take to camp with me, but it's not anywhere close to being done. The Never Shall Meet shawl, again, has been sitting by my chair. I have not pulled that out at all either. And Ecuador is still waiting to be frogged, and I still haven't even taken the time to kind of measure gauge and stuff like that, and possibly knit up a new swatch or anything like that. But yeah, that's all I've got for you this week. Remember, VKN on March 27th. You've got a couple weeks before we get there, but I will only be recording one more time before that Friday. So put it on your schedule so that you can join in with us on the VKN from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern, I guess it's daylight time now. Eastern Daylight Time. I think that's what it is. I don't know. If the rest of the world doesn't do daylight time, you're going to have to figure out what time it is for you. But it's going to be Eastern time, daylight savings time, whatever. And yeah. So that's all I've got for you this week. If you are interested in filling up one of those spots from Knitopia, please feel free to get in contact with me on Ravelry, and I will get all that information to you. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you're knitting blooms this week, and I will talk to you next week. Bye for now.
As always, thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to contact me with your comments or suggestions, as I am always trying to improve the show. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube as Bloomingknitter. You can also find me on Plurk, Twitter, and Pinterest as Bloomingknitter, but I don't frequent those sites as often. I post show updates on Twitter and Facebook, and sometimes to Google Plus and Plurk. I am Miss Aerobics on MyFitnessPal and Fitbit. You can always find all the old episodes as well as links to the tutorials on the blog at www.knittingblooms.com. And you can also follow the show on Facebook. You can email me at knittingblooms@gmail.com, and show notes can be found at knittingblooms.com.